Obviously, we're pleased to be here to share the successes with our community. And if you look at these posters behind me, they're staggering, the successes that we've had. But I think it's very important right from the very beginning of this conversation is that success doesn't happen in a vacuum. What you see here with Mr. Baker's emphasis is everyone coming together to support and to build our community. At the beginning of the year, we developed a holistic and focused approach along with our partnerships and collaborations with most of the people in this room, everybody in this room. Mr. Baker's executive staff that sits behind me, the district commanders, his leadership staff, the governor's office, the lieutenant governor, the state's attorney, the U.S. attorney, the FBI, DEA, ATF, the county council, again, state delegates, state senators, everybody was in this mix, which is important as I develop this thought. Municipal partners, all the different municipal police departments that have been so instrumental. Maryland State Police, as we talk a little bit about traffic safety and a reduction of fatal traffic accidents, we lead the state in reductions this year, 30 less fatal accidents, and a lot of that is to the working in partnership with Maryland State Police. But also, and you probably might find this one interesting, the media. Our relationship with the media has never been better. You've helped us get information out when it was critical for our community. I want to thank you for that. You also have contributed to reducing crime in the county. The next group I need to mention and can't say enough about are the men and women of this police department. They've risen to every challenge like they always have, from the command staff down to the youngest officer, patrol officer. I've been on this police department 29 years, and there's not a finer group of men and women that I've ever worked with, dedicated men and women, and I just wanted to thank them publicly. Also, our community. Our community challenged us to be better, and that's what we need. But our relationships, they've also stepped in and helped us become better. We're only as good as our relationship with our community, and these reductions, to a great extent, are due to that relationship, and I want to thank the community publicly. So thank you. As you look at these posters, and I'm going to brush by them fairly quickly, but the homicide poster, down 35.5%. That has never happened before in this county. Last year, when I spoke to Mr. Baker about our final numbers, and last year we were up 5 in homicides, but when you looked at every category that leads or contributes to homicides, we were down across the board last year. And last year, at the beginning of this year, I told Mr. Baker that 95 cannot stand because all the indicator crimes were down because of what we had done together, and that number has not stood. But when you look at being down 35.5%, when you look across every category being down, every violent category being down, every property crime being down, the 60 that we have right now won't stand either, in my opinion. But when you look at, and just put it in perspective, last year we were down 12% in violent crime. We're down almost 8% this year in violent crime, on top of the 12%. That's a 20% cumulative swing in 2 years. But the real point of that is last year we had 3,800 less victims in our community. This year we've had 2,200 less victims. That's 6,000 less victims in 2 years. We've done a lot of internal changes. We've made some structural changes. We've closed 19 nightclubs with the help of the council. There's been a lot of initiatives that we've interjected, Take 30 for traffic, but I don't want to go into those right now. We can talk about them. We've talked about them all year. But really the most significant thing in my opinion, is the Transforming Neighborhood Initiative, about bringing everyone together. That's the philosophy change. And if you haven't realized it by now, there's a renaissance underway in this county. And at the core of it is transforming neighborhood initiatives. And at the core of that philosophy is that there's power in unity. There's power in unity. But you have to have a strong leader to be able to pull this many pieces together. And that's what we have in Mr. Baker. And I just want to thank him. I'm excited about where we're going. I'm excited about going into 2013 and the reductions that we're going to continue to have in 2013. I'm confident in saying to you that we're just beginning. We're just getting started. And I'm excited to see where next year takes us. But only positive, good things are going to come out of this. And I want to thank Mr. Baker for his courage and his direction and his leadership in all these categories. Thank you.
So at this time, I'd like to call to the podium our drum major for collaboration and teamwork, County Executive Rushern Baker.
Bradford, that was a pretty good introduction, Bradford. How's everyone doing this morning? All right. Good. It is good to see everyone out here. Before I get started into my remarks, which will be very brief, because I think the numbers speak for themselves, there are some individuals I'd like to thank. First of all, I know that we have the man who is the vice chair for these last 2 years on the council to help us get to these numbers, Eric Olson. If we can give him a round of applause. And I see Councilwoman Karen Toes, who's known for closing down nightclubs. And I don't know if there are any other council members here. Oh, Mel Franklin, stand up, please. Doing a great job for us. Clearly, we couldn't have gotten to this point if the council hadn't bought into some of the risk-taking that we were going to do and that the chief had asked me to buy into. But we wouldn't have gotten here without their help. They certainly could have gotten nervous, you know, the first couple of months in office with a new county executive that had not managed anything more than a 7-man office when we had 14 homicides in 14 days. As the fire chief will tell you, we had fires burning everywhere. On one day, we had 7 fires in Prince George's County, major fires. So every act of God looked like it was descending upon Prince George's County. And I'm sure the council felt nervous and felt like maybe they should implement some new regulations, maybe like not having Rushern Baker as county executive. But they persevered with us, and they believed in collaboration. And their partnership allowed us to partner with 2 individuals I'd like to give a round of applause, because without their help in the very beginning, who didn't have to do it, as Brad Seaman said, elected on their own, county-wide, but they came in and they brought their talent, resources, and commitment. And that's our state's attorney, Angela Alsobrook, and our sheriff, Melvin High. Can we give them a round of applause? As I look down here in the list of people who are speaking, it is a who's who of collaboration. Our Lieutenant Governor is here, Anthony Brown. Can we give him a round of applause for bringing in? Our U.S. Attorney, Rod Rosenstein. Can we give him a round of applause? You know, it's interesting. Rod and I had one of my first meetings as county executive-elect, and I have to tell you, I was really nervous. But when we talked, he said, you know what? I want to help Prince George's County. I want to be in there doing what we do best, and that is going after bad guys and bad people. And we're going to help you do that. We're going to form a partnership. We're going to work with your police department, and they've done that. And we couldn't get here without them, without DEA, and all of our partners helping. Also behind us, on this side, you see our T&I. Each one of these individuals has a T&I district, as Brad said, that they're in charge of. As Brad Seaman read the list of things that are going on in the area, didn't it make you, something should have come to your mind and said, well, isn't that the government? Isn't that the government? That's exactly what it is. It's taking the government out of Upper Marlboro and putting it directly where it has the greatest impact, right at the heart of where people are. So when Brad has a question as to what's going on in a particular neighborhood, he doesn't have to call a department somewhere. He calls one of them. If I have a problem, I want to know what's going on, I call Brad and he calls them. They're the get it done crew. Or Brad uses another word that I can't. And for the record, I want you to know they all volunteered. They volunteered to take on that extra work because they believe in it so much, and I thank them personally for that. And then on this side, you see our district commanders. The thing I can say is, coming in as county executive, all the things that we face and all the issues we face, what we found was a police department that I can say without a doubt is the finest I've ever seen. These men and women are the best. If the citizens of Prince George's County had a doubt in their government on whether we can deliver, they did not have a doubt in their police department. They believed in them. They believed that they would come when they're called. They believed they would do what they said they're going to do. And so what we wanted was the rest of the government to respond that way. That's really what T&I is about, is for the rest of our government to respond the way these men and women do in their districts. And that's what we're going to do. The chief talked about telling me when our numbers, homicide numbers were up, and there was an article in an unknown paper about, we're up 5 homicides. And chief said, that's not going to stand, Mr. Baker. He said, the numbers are going to be down. I said, well, don't say that publicly, just in case. Just in case. But he said, no, you can say it publicly. He said, because what we're doing, if you look at across the board, not just at homicides, look across the board at our crime numbers. He said, if we keep doing what we're doing, it's going to be down. It's going to have an impact. But if we take that thought one step further, if we do the same things, we're good at, as Brad will tell you, police are good at victims and location. What they need to do is have us help interceding before we get a victim at a location. That's where T&I comes in. That's where providing health care in areas that haven't seen it before. That's where tearing down blighted houses come in. That's where coming in and providing job opportunities for children come in. That's where bringing the government where it hits the most. What I'd like to say in closing is this. On my way over here, our Chief of Staff, Glenda Wilson, was saying, because we did have a homicide today, that this is really a celebration of the victims, the fewer victims that we have in Prince George's County. And she's right, and the chief is right. It is a celebration that fewer people in Prince George's County have been victimized. But what this really is, though, is a beginning. This is simply a snapshot in time. This is not the end. This is not the celebration. The celebration happens when we turn around and no one up there on this side is sitting there. And you know why? Because it means those 6 areas in Prince George's County that heretofore have been left out have been transformed. Until that happens, and that's not just crime, that's until health disparity goes away in those areas. That's when education is its finest in those areas. That's when job opportunities are there in those areas. That's when the celebration happens. That's when this administration will celebrate. Because until that happens, as long as I am county executive, you will see this team out there doing what they need to do to make sure we're turning around Prince George's County, we're moving in the right direction, and this becomes the norm, not the exception. Thank you.